All right, welcome back. Today, we're going to tackle a huge puzzle that pretty much every business leader faces. How do you actually create a real, lasting competitive advantage? Is it all about your people, or is it all about having the best tech? Let's get right into it.
It's the classic debate, right? Do you invest a ton in developing a world-class team, or do you dump a ton of money into building a superior tech stack? Most of us feel like we have to choose one or the other. But what if that's the wrong way to even think about it?
So, to really get to the bottom of this, we're digging into this really fascinating new study. And look, this isn't just some abstract theory. This is real data from 191 supervisors, managers, and execs who are on the front lines of manufacturing. These are people dealing with this challenge every single day. And what they've shared reveals something, well, pretty unexpected.
All right, so before we jump into the findings, we got to get on the same page about the four main players in this whole puzzle. The study breaks down people strategy into two very different approaches. It looks at the role of tech, and then it measures the ultimate goal, that competitive advantage.
So to really get what this study is about, you have to see this key distinction. On one side, you've got your traditional human resource management. We'll call it HRM. This is the nuts and bolts, right? Recruiting, compliance, performance reviews, all that stuff. But on the other side, you have something much bigger, high-performance work systems, or HPWS. This is more of a philosophy. It's about truly empowering employees, developing their skills, and building collaboration. Now, they might sound kind of similar, but as you're about to see, the study shows they have wildly different impacts.
Okay, next up, we've got IT performance. And listen, this isn't just about having the flashiest new software. It's about how well your company's technology actually works to support the business. Automating tasks, making communication seamless, and giving you the data you need to make smart calls. Think of it like the engine that can power the whole operation.
And of course, the grand prize everyone's chasing, competitive advantage. This is the whole point, right? It's what allows a company to not just survive, but to really thrive, to lead its market, attract the best talent, and basically secure its future. So, the big question is, how do all these other pieces actually connect to this?
Okay, we've met the players, now the real detective work begins. The researchers started by just looking for direct connections between each of these things. And this is where things start to get really interesting, because we find some expected connections, but also some major dead ends.
All right, I know this might look a little complicated, but trust me, it's pretty straightforward. This is basically the map the researchers were using. You've got your people strategies on the left, HRM and HPWS. You've got your tech in the middle, and the goal, competitive advantage, is on the right. The researchers basically just tested every single one of these arrows to see which paths actually lead to winning the game. So the very first finding, it was a big one. And honestly, it makes a ton of sense. The study found this incredibly powerful direct link between having solid, foundational human resource management and having high-level IT performance. Turns out, when you nailed the basics of managing people, your technology just works better. Way better. And we're not talking about a small effect here. This was huge. To put that number into perspective in statistics, a score of around 2 on that T-statistic scale is usually enough to say something is significant. The connection here scored 274. 274? That is an absolutely massive link. It just goes to show that good HRM isn't some background function. It's a primary driver of how good your tech can be. Okay, so if strong HRM is supercharging your IT, then it must lead directly to a competitive advantage, right? That's the obvious next step in the chain. Seems logical. Well, here is the first big twist. The answer is, surprisingly, no. The study found that having good foundational HRM all by itself does not directly lead to a competitive advantage. It's a critical piece, for sure, but it doesn't get you to the finish line on its own. So, what actually does? And this is where that difference we talked about earlier becomes absolutely critical. On the right, you can see that basic HRM just doesn't quite get there. But on the left, those high-performance work systems, the whole strategy of empowering employees, that has a huge direct impact. Just look at the scores. HPWS is over 6, which is really strong, while HRM is below that significance line at about 1.7. So now we've got a real mystery on our hands. We know that basic HRM is important because it powers up our IT, but it doesn't directly create success. So how in the world does it actually help? This is the real aha moment of the whole study,
where we uncover the hidden, crucial role that technology plays.
Here it is. This is the secret path, laid out for us step by step. First, we already know that strong HRM boosts IT performance. Second, the study also found that better IT performance does directly boost competitive advantage. So you see, technology is the missing link. It's the crucial bridge that connects the value of good, solid HRM to actual real-world success.
And if you want proof, just look at the data. This table shows the strength of those indirect paths. That top row, the path from HRM through IT to competitive advantage, is statistically significant. It works. But then look at that second row. The same pathway for HPWS is not significant. What this tells us is incredible. HPWS gets its power directly by empowering people, but HRM gets its power indirectly by enabling technology.
And hey, if you're still not convinced how important people strategy is for your tech, just look at this number. The study found that a company's people strategies, both of them together, could explain almost 98% of the difference in IT performance from one company to the next. The takeaway is simple. Your tech is only ever going to be as good as the people strategy that supports it. Period.
Okay, so after digging through all that data, what does it all mean? What's the bottom line for your business? Let's boil this all down to a really clear strategy.
So here's the formula this research basically hands to us. First, you absolutely need a high-performance work system to build your advantage directly by truly empowering your team. Second, you need that solid foundational HRM, not because it wins the race on its own, but because it is the engine that makes your technology perform. And finally, you have to see that high-performing IT as the critical bridge. So you see, it was never people or tech. It's about using one type of people strategy to empower your team directly and another to supercharge your technology. And all of this leaves us with one last, really important question you should ask yourself. Think about your own organization for a second. Is your HR strategy just managing people? Or is it strategically designed to be the powerhouse that drives your technology, unlocking that hidden connection that leads to a true, lasting competitive advantage?